Once, they held great power in their communities. These were the Druids, men and women, shrouded in the mystery of ancient forests and deep knowledge of the natural world. To the Celtic peoples of old, they were not just spiritual guides, but also teachers, healers, and arbitrators, guiding their communities with their wisdom. Today, the Druids are rising again. Their legacy, which was once almost on the brink of disappearing forever, is experiencing a renaissance. Who were the Druids and what were their powers? And why is Druidism on the rise after centuries of suppression? Chapter 1: Origins of the Druids. The history of Druids is deeply rooted in the culture and mythology of Western Europe, in Celtic regions which stretch across Ireland, Britain, France, and even Switzerland and Austria. Because the Druids left no written records, little is known about their origins. Much of what we do know comes from the writings of Julius Caesar, dating back to 50 BC. In the commentaries on the Gallic War, Caesar details his military campaigns to capture Gaul. Understanding the Druids and their roles was crucial for Caesar to conquer Gaul. The Druids were central figures in the resistance against Roman expansion. They were not simply spiritual leaders, but also political strategists, educators, and custodians of the law within Celtic society. Chapter 2: Who were the Druids? Historically, Druids were the intellectual caste among the Celts, serving as priests, judges, lore-keepers, and advisors to kings. The term Druid is believed to translate to knower of the oak tree in Irish Gaelic, where Doir means oak tree, often symbolizing knowledge and wisdom. It wasn't easy to become a Druid. Druidic education could last up to 20 years, during which students memorized elaborate verses, laws, astronomy, genealogies, philosophies, and the lore of the gods. Because of this emphasis on oral tradition, Druids were crucial in preserving the culture and knowledge of the Celtic people. But it also meant that only a select few could become Druids, and those who did were respected for their knowledge. The role of Druids was complex. They conducted religious ceremonies and used their knowledge of the natural world and the movements of the stars to calculate the dates of festivals and rituals. They divined what was to come using various methods. Druids also served as judges in disputes because they were the keepers of the law, known for memorizing and interpreting a vast array of laws and customs. Because Druids acted as neutral parties, not taking any side in a conflict, they were seen as mediators in conflicts between warring tribes and even invading forces, like the Romans. While they were neutral, they were involved in decision-making processes of tribes, and even influenced the selection of kings and leaders. In this sense, they had significant political influence. Druids were the shamans of the Celts. Their knowledge of herbal remedies and techniques meant that they acted as healers of their communities. Their profound wisdom and role as intermediaries made them the bridge between the physical world and the realm of gods. There is one aspect of Druidic rituals that's still heavily debated: that of human sacrifice. Because Druids didn't leave any writings behind, we have to rely only on ancient Roman and Greek accounts, which provide vivid descriptions of human sacrifice. They write that the Druids were present at the sacrifice of criminals, or sometimes innocent people, who were burnt alive in wicker cages, or killed in the attempt to divine the future from their death throes. But the question remains of whether these narratives were accurate and were not written with political motives or bias to paint the Druids in a dark light. While archaeological evidence offers some clues about Druids and human sacrifice, it remains inconclusive, leaving the question of Druid involvement in human sacrifice a topic of ongoing investigation and debate. Chapter 3: The Decline of the Druids. With the Roman conquest of Gaul and later incursions into Britain, the Druids were suppressed. Their practices were outlawed as the Romans sought to establish their religion and governance in the conquered Celtic territories. Later, as Christianity spread across Europe, many of the roles and functions of the Druids were diminished. Unlike Roman conquests elsewhere, Christianity in Ireland was spread more through mission work than through military force. Many of the local customs and beliefs were integrated into the new religion. For example, we can trace the custom of hanging mistletoe at Christmas to the ancient Celts and the Druids, who revered mistletoe as a sacred plant with mystical properties. Many early Christian churches in Britain and Ireland were constructed on sites that were considered sacred in Druidism. This helped ease the transition, ensuring that Christian Ireland would retain a distinct cultural identity. The strategy worked. While the overt power of the ancient Druids has faded, their legacy continues on in their marks on the landscape and the cultural heritage of the Irish. Chapter 4: The Rise of Druidism Today. Modern Druidism began to re-emerge as a spiritual movement in the 17th and 18th centuries and rapidly gained popularity in the 20th century. Historian Ronald Hutton writes that Europeans in general had no interest in Druids for most of the Middle Ages, and yet were hugely enthusiastic about them by the middle of the 18th century. By the 1780s, from Wales to London, people were starting to found Druid orders in an effort to recover and revive their wisdom. This new version differs from ancient Druidism in many ways. It's adaptable and eclectic, with a spectrum of diverse beliefs. Some focus on magic and polytheism, while others highlight only the ecological and spiritual aspects. But like ancient Druidism, there's a deep reverence for nature, seeing the earth and all its creatures as sacred and interconnected.
Druidry, what it's done for me is it's healed me in a lot of ways, and it's made me reconnect with life, reconnect with nature.
Druids celebrate the cycles of the seasons through ceremonies held at the solstices, equinoxes, and the 4 Celtic fire festivals: Imbolc, Beltane, Lunasa, and Somme. Druidic spirituality is also marked by a belief in the power of storytelling, poetry, and music to connect with the divine and express the mysteries of life. The rise of Druidism speaks to a growing desire among many to find a spiritual path that offers both a sense of belonging and practical ways to engage with the world. In an era marked by environmental crisis and a longing for community, Druidism's emphasis on ecological stewardship, peace, and respect for all life resonates with contemporary values. What do you think? Is Druidism best left in the past, or does it have something to offer today? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. It helps our channel more than you know, making our videos visible to more viewers like you. Thanks for watching.